Good evening, I'm Neil, VK3BCU. It's time for the weekly amateur TV net through VK3RTV, which of course is the preferred method that you should watch the net on. But if you can't do that for technical reasons, you may watch it on Ian VK3QL's YouTube feed, or Rob VK3IE's BATC feed on his own personal feed. That's BATC VK3IE. Richard VK3 VRS Discord feed. You can also do that. So I think that covers the ways you can watch the repeater, and of course you can always watch the repeater on Ian's YouTube feed not long after the net is finished. Right, this evening we have Peter VK3BFG. He'll be up first, and then Richard, if you could take it. And seeing there's no other stations on RTV1 this evening, Richard, if you could put it back to me, and then I'll call in the stations on RTV2. So I think that's about it. There's a few announcements today. There's going to be a bit of a gathering on the 20th. John VK3ATV will talk about that, and I'm sure Peter's got a very extensive report on the net this evening. I see Peter's all ready to go. He's turned off. So Peter, if you're ready to go, please everyone switch across to RTV1 right now, and you'll be able to watch Peter when he comes back up on air. So Peter, we're just waiting for you. I'm not sure what happened, but you were there up on one briefly, so please switch across to RTV1 now.
We tricked you. It's me, not Peter. Peter just put in a call to say, "Oh, Richard, take it, please. I've got a problem." So, so here I am. All right, got caught on the hop a bit. I've got a few things tonight, so I can fill in a little bit of time while Peter gets his battery up and running. First cab off the rank. I hope you guys don't get seasick. This is back from 2015, so similar vintage of the video that I showed of the train, which I took on my phone to show people on my phone, and then found it and went, "Oh, I'll put that on." So sorry that it wasn't the right orientation. I knew it wasn't the right orientation, and I didn't have time to put a filler background. But this one's taken off a, what do you call those cameras? One of these things. And it's on the front of go-kart. So, by all means, buckle in and enjoy the ride. This is at Stony Creek go-kart track, and it's on a junior kart, so it's on my son's kart, because in the start I can see mine just in the left hand side. You can see it just there. That's actually my go-kart there, which is a 125, or was my go-kart. Don't have them anymore, since retired. When my son decided to retire, so did I. It was hurting my back a bit, but anyway. So this is my son, being 2015, he would have been, what's that, 9 years ago. Yeah, so 12. So he's 12 years old when he's driving this. So anyway, enjoy. Let's go.
ATV Channel 1.
Oh, don't know what happened then. Sorry, Clint, your ad got cut short. Must have been because I was playing with stuff. The joys of live TV. Anyway, so the other thing, one of the other things that I've got tonight, been asked how I actually, many people may or may not know, I use ports down. Highly recommend it as a mode of getting onto ATV. Even though it's a little bit more expensive now to buy a Lime SDR, which basically becomes your modulator, I would still recommend going that way, purely because of the versatility of the whole package, and the fact that you can buy bits at a time and build it slowly and then get on the air. So if that's sort of your barrier to getting into ATV, you can at least buy bits at a time and build it up, so it's not all one big chunk in one go, which is what many of us have to do. We've got families and households to run and stuff like that, so it's a good way. The hides is another good way. It's a one purchase type of thing, but it is just DVB-T. So and that's where it stops. Whereas with the ports down, there's lots and lots of actual bits and pieces in it, not just a ATV transmitter. So yeah, there's plenty of things to play. Now, one of the questions that I've been asked is, how do I get from this camera through my computer and then onto the ports down? So there's two ways that you can do. Obviously, you need some sort of switching mechanism, and that being whether it's vMix, which is a paid version, or you can use OBS. Now, because I'm transmitting, I can't show you everything, and I might do a full video on this at some stage when I'm not quite as time poor. But let's just start with the basics. So just make sure I've got audio. Yep, I have. Now you'll see this is OBS, and with OBS, the most important thing is it's just a standard setup. I don't know if my camera will work on this. Be interesting to see if it does. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, look at that. Ooh, hello. Anyway, so the thing to do with this, obviously I'm looking over there at the screen, is just start your virtual camera. So basically, I can't do it at the moment because I don't know what effect it'll have. It'll probably, because I'm running this on the same machine. So basically, once you start your virtual camera, that then puts a stream, IPTS stream, on your system. Now, you have to actually transport that somehow, and a very clever Frenchman came up with a way of doing it. And this is what the program is called. Now you can see I'm actually live at the moment, but there's the name of the program, Free Stream Coder. Now this is an old version. I find this very, very stable and works extremely well. So you can change lots of settings in here. If I open that, that's okay. I don't think it'll stop me from streaming. I think it's all good. And you can see, you can't see it because it's not open yet live. Okay, that's all right. But you can see that you can change your mode, you can change your symbol rates, your corrections, codec, image size, your FPS, also your audio codes. You can go through now. You can see here, this is where you change it from vMix to OBS, and lots of different variations. Now I don't know if I click on this, no, you're not going to be able to see it, which is a bit of a pity. It's not rendering it the way that I was hoping it would. But you've got different options to change which part of OBS and what sort of vmix that you've got, and then you output it to the address of your ports down. So very, very straightforward. It is once you work out how to use it all. And of course an encoder, default frames, lots of things in there that you can stay as defaults. And then you've also got your PIDs, which you can change, and all that sort of stuff. When you're starting out, preference would be not to fiddle with this too much. Stay with the known PIDs that work, which are exactly what's there. Clearly it's working. So that's one of the important things. Now, once that starts, once you click on the start and you get this green light, that actually starts streaming to your ports down. Now, unfortunately, I was going to show you the ports down, but if I click on any of the buttons on the ports down, I'll stop transmitting. So what I'll do instead is, well, actually I was going to give you a little bit of a tour of what's going on here too. So I'll just show you, you'll have to excuse the mess in my place at the moment. Alright, so there's my live view there. I'm sorry about the shaky cam, but it is what it is. And you'll see here, there's the program that we were just looking at. I'm using vMix currently. There's my OBS at the moment. Alright, so that's running at the same time. Pretty clever, very good. So once it goes from that program, it goes into your ports down. Now, you might go, how's he got his ports down on his screen? Well, that's one of the features in ports down, is you can actually control it via the web, a web-based browser. You have to be on the same network, of course, and off you go. Now you can see there, I've got modulation is S2, and I'm using IPTS and in, so it's Internet Protocol Transport Stream, that's in, and I'm using H.264. So that's what's happening. So my ports down is now accepting a stream on the local network. And once it does that, it just translates it straight out as if it was sending out anything other connections. So you can connect via HDMI, you can connect via lots of different methods. But using this streaming program, I find I can get full HD pictures, whereas with the Elgato capture device for HDMI, it's only HD, not full HD. So that's why my preference is to do this. Plus, I don't have, it's one less cable that's connected onto my system, one less thing to go wrong. I just have a network, and as long as I've got network, it works. And I can use, you know, OBS, or I can use vMix, no problem at all. Now, on the weekend, I started playing around, just to show you a little bit of my studio here. I've got multiple monitors. There's even one up there as well. That monitor there, that monitor there, that monitor there, one up there as well. So there's everywhere. One of my biggest dilemmas was being able to switch stuff. And by the way, there's my ports down there. So you can see it's actually physically there. So I don't actually touch that screen very much at all anymore, unless I'm just want to send out, haven't got the computer on and I want to send a test card out. But what I find is I want to be able to switch my monitors around with different programs, and you can see there's a Raspberry Pi down there which is not plugged in at the moment, and I've normally got another computer which also I want to be able to view from those monitors, but I want to be able to switch it. So, and also of course my 905, I want to be able to do the ATV from there and get it into my system. and view it on these screens. So the only way that I could do that is to set up this mess. So at the moment it is quite a mess. There's another 2 set-top boxes in there, so those 2 set-top boxes are actually what you see up here. So there's those 2 set-top boxes. This one here, which is the set-top box that I love the most. It's not focusing on it, but that one there is the one that actually goes up to Discord, which is on a server in my server rack, but it also displays on that TV. So you'll notice there's a bit of a time delay between some of them. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a time delay between the others. The one down the bottom here, that's actually my transmission out, which is that one there. So that's actually monitoring my actual live transmission. You can see there's quite a bit of a delay between those. Anyway, so that's my current setup at the moment. Lots and lots of mess. That's obviously for the 905. That one's for the 905, both in and out. Now, I obviously have to clean up all this mess in here, which is, I just basically had to get it working with whatever cables I had. I will be cleaning that up very, very soon. So, anyway, that's my nightmare. I've just got one more thing, and Peter, this one will be for you. It's off YouTube. It's only 1 minute. I don't know if you'll get a ban or not, but please, just bear with me and watch this. This one's just purely for Peter. He'll understand why in a minute when I show him that button there. All right, Peter. Hope you're watching, and no more explanations.
Won over the USA's Tacoma Narrows. From the day it was finished in 1940, it bounced around. Dubbed Galloping Gertie, it became a tourist attraction. Real trouble started the day it began to twist. The wind wasn't particularly strong, but it stayed steady. Each time it twisted, it turned a little more. Finally, it twisted itself apart and became every bridge builder's nightmare. For Gimsing, the answer could be seen in the wind tunnel. The problem with the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was its sharp, square road deck. As the wind hit it, miniature whirlwinds formed at the corners, which started the twisting. The twist turned the deck towards the wind, which produced more twist, and finally, disaster. The answer? Get rid of the square corners.
If you add these airfoils, the wind will move smoothly around the bridge section, just like you'll experience on the wing of an aircraft. In the case of the Great Belt Bridge, we tested a number of different shapes to find out which would give the most stable bridge, and it turned out it would remain stable to a wind speed which is more than twice of what have ever been measured in the Great Belt area.
Won over the USA's Tacoma Narrows. From the day it was finished in 1940, it bounced.
And there you go. Peter will know the significance of that. Anyway, that's all I've got. So talking about Peter, what a fantastic segue. I will go to the usual. Not that one. That one. I'll go to our usual setup. That one there. Got to try and remember all my buttons. Anyway, I'm going to go to test card, and then I'll drop off, and then we'll have Peter. So it's over to you, Peter. This is VK3 VRS signing off, and off to VK3 BFG. Stay on this channel, guys. Cheers.
Okay, good evening, everyone. At the last moment, the battery went flat on the radio mic, which I was going to try and with lower level so that Clint would be happy and everyone else would be happy with it. But there it is. I mean, it was at the instant of turn on. Anyway, I'm on the camera microphone now, and that should be okay. First of all, I'd like to welcome Joe, VK3TET, back from the land of the living. I'm not sure where Joe has been, but I suspect maybe he's been in the UK, I'm not sure. But anyway, we've certainly heard him back on 147.4 and getting himself in a received situation. And hopefully, maybe by next week, he might be in a transmit situation. I think today the weather wasn't exactly what you would think for some outside antenna work which Joe has to do. Which sort of leads me on to some dramas we've had just recently with the repeater. I'd noticed that VK3ER's transmission, there was a lot of ghosting on it and some problems, and I've noticed that with James also on RTV2 HB, the same problem. So I thought, well, I'll just change over the receiver to something else, try and solve the problem, and everything went pear-shaped, of course. So at the end of the day, yesterday I disassembled everything and brought it down here, and I went through every element of the receive system bit by bit and tested every bit of it, and then went up this morning and reassembled it. It does have a new model receiver, which is different to the other ones, and it's the only one that you can get now, in fact. And apparently it doesn't like DVB-S too much. And I guess that's probably the natural progression of things, that DVB-S is virtually redundant now, and I guess it was there just for historical purposes, but it looks like the manufacturers are saying, well, that's the end of that, which leaves me with a problem for 3ER. I will go down there tomorrow, Thursday, and Thursday morning, and just switch the transmitter on and see what happens, and see whether we get a black screen or not. Time will tell on that one. So it was all about trying to get a more equitable system for DVB-S, but just went backwards. But anyway, it looks like we're now back to some semblance of normal, and the DVB-T sensitivity is very good. The DVB-S2 sensitivity on RTV2 is not quite as good as what it was, but it's still at a level where people are able to access the system. So I think that's the main thing, and it was certainly not the weather today to really think that you might have good propagation. It was sort of drizzling and raining, and to get into the gate there at Mount View and then get all the stuff in. I actually was very lucky though. I just happened to get to there where there was a little bit of a lull, and it was just sort of a light drizzle, so we got in. But Lake Mount View wasn't there, which is really good, because if the rain is very heavy, there's a significant pool of water right at the front door. What needs to be happening there is that some fill be put in there, but you can't do anything outside without Melbourne Water's in explicit permission, and they would then put that on the list of things to do, and it would be very low on the list of things to do, I would think. So maybe one day we'll slip in with some gravel or something like that and fill it ourselves and tell no one. I never said that. Just recently I went up to Dennis, VK3YL8's QTH, and every time I see QTHs, I think this one's pretty ordinary compared to what I'm seeing, and particularly with Richard there, that's absolutely amazing. But knowing Richard's background is not really surprising that that's the way it turned out. But anyway, I went to Dennis's place, and his setup is fantastic as well. He also had these little things, little angle brackets, and I know that Ian 3QL has his own little way of doing this, but that now sits in front of all my set-top boxes, because those of you that do program set-top boxes will know that if you've got some active and you program another in the room, mightn't even depend on where you're pointing the device that's the IR device, the handheld. Things happen behind you and you find that you're watching channel 2 instead of RTV. So anyway, those little angle brackets just fit in front of the 4 set-top boxes that I've got, and problem solved, thanks to Dennis. Also thanks to Dennis for the new monthly splash screen. I'm not sure that the sound is quite what we wanted there, Dennis. I sort of said, well, just moderate it a little bit, but if that's moderating a little bit, yeah, well. Anyway, Dennis does a terrific job with that, and maybe we'll have a bi-monthly change, Dennis. I've actually got quite a few on file now, so you must be running out of ideas. So anyway, thanks for that, and if you want to continue the monthly one, well, that's fine as well. Just moving on, August 31 is the date for the DATV QSO party, and I've already had correspondence from Roland, KP6JPG, and the usual extremely enthusiastic response from him. And he's already working in the USA trying to promote the ATV QSO party. So we'll certainly have Roland on, and I'm sure we'll be able to go further east into the United States as well in the morning. But also now we're going to go and have a second session in the evening. So instead of having a Friday session and then a Friday night session and then a Saturday morning session, we're going to have a Saturday morning session and then a Saturday night session. And I'm sure that I will have at least one English station, and perhaps more than one, and even the slightly remote possibility, but it's just being floated, that some of the stuff might be via the satellite. So if we can achieve that one for Saturday night, that would be a bit of a grabber. But the guys over in the UK are just looking at that, and at a minimum we'll have some stations on from the UK, which will be really, really nice. It'll be there Saturday morning, and our Saturday night we'll start there about 8 o'clock. So we're going to have a DAT QSO party that's a little bit different to what we've had before. It'll be a whole day though of activity, with a bit of a break in the afternoon, and you can have some dinner and then come back and do some more. So put that in your diary, everyone. August 31 for the next DATV QSO party. I've been working a little bit on the palette that Roger VK5YY sent across, and we'll have a quick look at that, and we'll see what's happening with it. So we're simply going to move across here and down here, and you can see there that I've now got a metal box all ready for it, and sitting on the heat spreader. I haven't actually drilled and tapped any mounting holes here, and there's a couple of posts here that need insulating from the heat spreader, so that will involve drilling a hole there around that, so that's actually the VCC supply, or VDD supply to be correct for a FET, and that one's the bias. So both of those need to be insulated. In fact, there's a little insulated area around in the PCB underneath there, but obviously that's going to sit hard down on the heat spreader there, and so we need to just drill accurately, determine where they are, and then drill them. Now, Roger's very kindly sent across, let's see if we can pick this one up, with Roger's handheld instructions, but it's pretty plain. He's provided me with a 56 puff ATC capacitor, which is the kind that you need for this kind of application, and I've just got to replace the capacitor there that's on the gates of the FET. So thanks, Roger, for that. Much appreciated. And I do have a very large heatsink that will go with this this box as well. So this one will be interesting to see how it fares. Certainly the data sheet shows that this particular FET is specifically designed for DVB-T, and the spec for DVB-T is given for it, and it's 100 watts is the spec. At forget what the shoulders were down, but they weren't down that far actually. But anyway, that was the spec. So still a work in progress, as RTV is always as well. So that's about it for me for tonight. So I'll be handing it back, I think, to Neil now to take it from wherever we need to go on RTV2. So this is VK3 BFG. A little bit embarrassed about the flat battery, but there it is. This is VK3 BFG and 1 Turner South. Over to you then.
Right, thanks for that, Peter. Pretty sure I've got audio. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yeah, that was good, Peter. A lot of work though. I'm glad you were doing it. And that bridge video, which did come up as copyright, but not to worry, I think it was right towards the end. But I've seen that video, that's quite amazing. Not only bridges, but other constructions that have gone crazy due to harmonic resonance. And thanks for the information on the streaming into the Portsdown, Richard. I'm really looking forward to replaying that and setting mine up exactly the way you've got it. And I do agree with Richard, the Portsdown is certainly the gold standard when it comes to coming up on ATV. It does a lot of things. Not only for ATV, the Lime SDR can be used on sideband. I've actually used the Lime SDR right up to 5.6 gigs into an amplifier, and used it on 5.6 gigs sideband and 3.4. So that's good for that as well. Just the Lime SDR on its own, and the Portsdown has got that much in terms of test equipment within the actual unit. So very, very versatile, but fairly expensive. Now, there's another way you can go. There's a couple of other ways you can go. And today I'm using my, excuse me, I'll have a drink of water. My mouth gets very dry doing this. Another way to go is DVB-T, using a DVB-T modulator. Tonight, for the first time, I've finally got my Mark II model working, and I'm using it as we speak. And if things go right, I will show you a picture of what I'm actually transmitting on. So that's my version of coming up on DVB-T. There's 5 main components to that. There's the modulator, there's the local oscillator, the mixer, and the filter, and of course the little amplifier, which is just a commercial thing I've been using, but you can use a PHA1. So those 5 components alone would probably cost you about the 400 mark. And then, of course, if you've got bits and pieces lying around, all the auxiliary equipment around that, the case and the bits and pieces, I've got a lot of extra stuff in there that you don't need, like a remote control. And the front panel, if I can show you the front panel, it's pretty basic, but that's what it looks like when it comes up. So that's, oh, wrong one. I'll get the right one eventually. That's the front panel. So for around $400, that'll just do DVB-T, and you could, in fact, that will go up to 2.4, even 3.4 gigs if you just change the local oscillator frequency and obviously change the filter. What else I was going to say about that? Let me think, there was something else I was going to say about that. What was it? Oh, my original DVB S transmitter, probably 10-15 years ago, was about $1,200. So really, we're getting out of it cheap these days. So but certainly that's a cheaper way of doing it. And that filter was just this little board here, which Bob 3BVR kindly gave me the design for, and I just ordered them. So yeah, so about $400 for that, but it's fairly limited in what it can actually do. But it's a cheaper way of doing it, probably the cheapest way to get onto DVB-T. The next way is using the hides, which is a few $100s more. Okay, so that's me for this evening. Ian, if you're ready to go, I'll put it across to Ian VK3QL and then John VK3ATV. And as there is no other stations transmitting this evening, there was a list of stations that were watching, and I've lost that list. Hold on. I'd like to acknowledge we've got Bob 3BVR watching, Mark 3PI, Mick 3CH, and Fred VK3ZAQ. So thanks for watching, guys. And I believe there are 21 on YouTube, Ian's YouTube. I'm not sure about the other mediums. So Ian, if you're ready to go, take it away right about now. I'll get that to work. No, it's not going to work. So I have to lean right across here. Very professional.
Good evening and welcome to television.
Great, so there's a lot of information flowing tonight, action-packed. So, and actually, two of the topics I'm going to cover have been touched on. One is the QSO party, so hopefully I'll just add a bit of excitement to that, and Portsdown. Portsdown, the band viewer component of the Portsdown. So not only does it's a sort of the Swiss knife of digital TV, and very inexpensive toolbox for various things around the shack when you're dealing with digital television signals and microwave digital signals too. All right, and RF as well, which band viewer is particularly useful for. But before I go on to that, I'll touch on the QSO party, and it's great to have Neil back. I really appreciate when he's on deck because he's the net controller, so that's good. So just the QSO party is those are the dates and the set and the approximate times for the Saturday, the 31st of August, and people interested, contact Peter. Now the next clip I've got is the introduction that Martin I'll get his call sign, is the president of the BATC, and he's the net controller for the BATC net on QSO, on the QO100 geostationary satellite, and says he, Martin mentions the QSO party. So as a part of his introduction just a few days ago, last Thursday, local time UK. So here is the just that bit of clip.
There's an interesting thing possibly coming up at the end of August. There's a guy called Peter, VK3 BFG, Big Friendly Giant, in Melbourne, who runs on the last Saturday of August an ATV get-together. They link up the whole of Australia, bits of America. So I'm having a chat with them about the possibility of Europe joining in. 10:30 on the Saturday morning here coincides with 7:30 in the evening over there, so it's possible slots to might be quite an interesting experiment. And there's a possibility that Ham TV might be on they might switch the transmitter on by the end of this month, July, so let's hope so.
So that's all very exciting with Martin on board, picking up the charge. So that's all very promising. We'll have some G stations come up on the QSO party, which has been many years since that's occurred. And Peter mentioned the QO100, or I assume the QO100 satellite being possibly involved. So all lots of developments happening there. All right, the next thing I want to cover is the Portsdown 4 band viewer, and Dave, as part of a clip from ham radio at Frederikshavn, it went through the band viewer functionality. So here is Dave.
The ham radio event at Friedrichshafen in Germany, held annually in June, is a renowned international trade fair focused on amateur radio. This year, one of the highlighted forums delved into digital amateur radio, DATV, showcasing various DATV systems such as Portsdown, Pluto and Node-RED. Dave G8GKQ presented on the testing capabilities of Portsdown 4 to the forum attendees. The following video is part of Dave's presentation on the Portsdown's capabilities.
So the most valuable tool I find is band viewer. Now this is essentially a narrow sweep spectrum analyzer using an SDR. There's a choice of 5 SDRs: Lime SDR, USB or Mini, Pluto. It'll work with an RSPDX version 1, not version 2 yet, an AirSpy R2, or even an RTL SDR. Using those, the whole suite of SDRs, you can cover 2 megs to 30 gigs. But its primary use, what it was designed for, is as a PAN adapter on receive for ATV. And it will give you very accurate relative levels, and the dynamic range is simply limited by the SDR, so the RTL SDR isn't as good. So this is what it was designed for doing weak signal work. This is a screenshot I took when I was out on a hilltop in a contest a couple of years ago. And you can see 2 humps there. The middle hump is 333 kilosymbols. Don't know who that was. I think it was Colin G4KLB, but I've never been able to find out. And on the left-hand side there is a very small 125 kilosymbol hump. Now that initially didn't give any decodes with Minituner, but I knew it was there, and this is the great thing, it brings back the analog aspect to digital ATV. You can see if somebody is there. And in due course, we had the right aircraft flying the right track, and the flutter brought the signal up enough for long enough for me to get pictures from Rob at 400 kilometres away on 70 SEMS. Now, we'd never have achieved that if I hadn't known his signals were there by using band viewer. So that's primarily what we use it for. This is the setup I use it with, and this was in the contest a couple of weeks ago. I've got what I call a Portsdown double, and on the left-hand side there is band viewer. You can't see the screen very well, but there is a signal in the middle there. And on the right-hand side is another Portsdown with a receiver, and that's receiving pictures from Gareth G4XAT on 24 gigs. So it's good for picking up dishes, aerials, whatever. It will also do peak hold if you're monitoring a band. You can't really see it very well on this slide, I'm afraid, but you can see some red dots there, and that'll just peak hold whatever signals come up. So if you know you've got a carrier coming up somewhere in the band, but you never manage to quite see it when it's there, peak hold will catch it for you. If you use a Pluto, you can get a full 50 meg span on this. Pluto is the most capable in terms of wide span width. Lime SDR gives you 20 megs. AirSpy and RSPDX give you 10, and RTL SDR only gives you 2 megs. And they all differ at the other end of the scale as well. The best on that is the Lime SDR, where you can wind it out to 100 kilohertz wide. The Pluto only goes down to 2 megs. I've recently added a waterfall capability, and you can switch the display between being a waterfall, a mix, which is what I'm showing here, or full spectrum.
Great. So I'd like to thank Dave for doing that, and he did a 45-minute presentation, and that has only just gone up on the net under the BATC online channel, so you can see the entire 45 minutes of his presentation. I wasn't aware that it was going up on the net, so I've actually chopped little sections to put into the net if I get an opportunity. So depending on time constraints, I shall show one or two further episodes. All right, moving right along, I might just mention the Bendigo, what are they calling it? A Radio Fest on August the 18th, which is about 5 weeks off. So Sunday, the 18th of August, that's their inaugural, their first time they've held it. Judging from the graphics, if you've got a bit of spare time, you can actually catch a tram to a gold mine. So there, I quite enjoyed that graphic. So anyway, that's the Bendigo Radio Fest, Sunday the 18th of August. And let's have a quiz. Right, John, VK3 ATV is the next cab off the rank, so I might finish with the with a goodbye from Lucy or good evening from Lucy for the evening, and the list of stations that I sometimes show. So pass it on to you, John. I'll drop carrier on the K end of transmission signal. Would you believe that didn't work? But anyway, so I might just end it on the K, go straight to the K end of transmission, John, and it's over to you. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone. John, VK3 ATV in Williamstown. I'm transmitting on my new DVB-T transmitter, which is the high des. And there's been a lot of talk about Portsdown this evening, but I'm going to give you a quick look at what I did to put the high des transmitter together. First of all, though, a plug, and excuse my organisation of my control panel, but it's behind me. Make sure, is it back? Audio back?
Roger.
Yep, okay. All right, well, just wanted to remind everyone of the Melbourne ATV group get-together, which will be on 20th of July at the Amateur Radio Victoria rooms. We'll have the rooms open between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So show up at any time between those times. Bring yourself some lunch, or there is a cafe next door to the rooms, and the photo there shows the Amateur Radio Victoria rooms on the corner there with the antennas on the roof, and right next door to that is the cafe, which has pretty good coffee and some food. So we'll be there for a few hours on the Saturday. So come along, bring some gear. I know people like Neil are going to bring some gear for people to have a look at, or just come along and ask a question if you're attempting to get a transmission happening, get a transmitter going. So that's a little bit of that's a first attempt. It's in our inaugural get together, so so that'll be good. Hope to see you there. So getting straight into it, let's have a chat about the high desk transmitter. So that's what I'm using at the moment, and I am running about 260 milliwatts out of my transmitter to get into the repeater. So it works quite well on DVB-T. So that's the. Oh, that's gone a bit fast. Let me go back. That's the first attempt at putting a PowerPoint slideshow through vMix. So that's the front panel of my unit. I've just repurposed an old Philips power supply box, as I did with my DATV Express. So that's fitted into that. That's the back panel. So there's just RF, USB for the control software, the HDMI video audio in, and DC power. So the box runs on 12 volts. That's the top of the box, and a few people have told me that I've got quite a bit of noise in the shack here, mainly generated by that fan. So I might change that fan, put something a little smaller on there, and something a bit quieter. You'll see in the next slide, but the dongle for the UART dongle for USB to TTL is supplied with the high desk, and that just sits under the unit in my assembly. So that's looking inside the box. So really, the only significant items in the transmitter is the high desk exciter and the 3-watt amplifier, and that's a Bert Moderman or PE. I can't remember his call sign now. PE1 RKI amplifier, and that's only a 3-watt amplifier. It does use the Mitsubishi module, which is rated to about 18 watts or something, but it's I'm only using a 3-watt amplifier. I've actually run it up to 4 watts, but I've got a 5 dB attenuator, just a small SMA attenuator in there, just so I don't overdrive it. So that's the line diagram, block diagram of what I've got in the box. So as you can see, there's really not much to it. It's a fairly simple way to get on air, and you don't have to do it as complex as I've done it in that box. But so it's really the two units that is all you need. I won't go through the settings. There are some important settings that you won't get the unit to run without having those correct. So if you do decide to get a high desk unit, there's quite a few of ATVs around that have already had a go at it and have the settings available for you. And there's 3 pages of settings there that are fairly important. Just a quick look at the PA from Bert. So it's just that Mitsubishi RA18H 1213G module that unfortunately you can't really get anymore, which is a shame, because both my DVB-S transmitter, which is the DATV Express, and my high desk DVB-T both use that module, and I've recently just blown one up. So and that's what currently my part of my rack looks like at the moment, with the up the top power meter so I can tell there's something coming out of the unit. A coax switch, which switches between my DVB-T, DVB-S and analogue transmitters, and you can see those together there with the S2 transmitter on the top, then the DVB-T, then the analogue, my old analogue transmitter, which originally was built by Mick, VK3CH, and just a couple of power supplies down the bottom. So that's my setup for ATV, or part of it. I'll have another session. We're running out of time, but I'll have another session at another time to show you more of the ATV setup here at VK3 ATV. The high-des version of getting on air does only provide DVB-T facility, so you need to consider that if you're looking at ports down option. It's a little bit more flexible and a bit cheaper. The high-des, which is quite good, is a little bit more expensive. The two units that I talked about before, the high-des HV320 exciter and the Burt Moderman amplifier, is probably going to cost you around about 900 Australian dollars. So it's quite a bit more expensive than the Portstown version. But I found it very reliable. So and fairly simple to get together. So there's some good options now for getting yourself on air, getting yourself onto ATV. All right, well that's a fairly quick over from me. We've a little bit over 9 o'clock now, so I'll pass that back to Neil. And I hope to see as many people as possible come and have a chat, say hello, show some gear, look at some gear on the 20th of July at the Amateur Radio Victoria Rooms in Ashburton. So I hope to see you there. So I'll hand it now back to Neil. This is VK3 ATV, John in Williamstown. Good night.
Wow, that was slow. Audio. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks for that, John. That was quite interesting. I think you find that the Portsdown is actually substantially more expensive than the hides. The Lime SDR is pushing $600 Australian. Then you've got Burt's Amp if you want to go down that line, and that's about probably $350. You've got the what is it? Pi. The Pi 4 is about $100 or so. You've got the screen, so it does add up. It does add up, and the Portsdown is actually the most expensive, but so versatile. Not only is it a transmitter, it's a receiver, it's a bit of test gear. The Lime on its own can be used for various bits and pieces as a receiver. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. If you can find the Portsdown cheaper, let me know. Although I have got 2 Portsdowns, so I'm right. Okay, then, thanks for that. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been pretty good. I did see up to about 25 watching Ian's YouTube feed, so I hope you found it quite entertaining tonight. Actually, I think it's been quite a good night. A lot of technical information. So please tune in next week, preferably through the RF medium. And good night for now. We'll see you next week. Oh, there we go.